Good morning again. I'm going to apologize right away for my appearance. I thought I had allergies, that I was reacting to allergies, but it's gone on for several days now since I went outside, and so I think I'm getting that creeping junk back. Anyway. Allergies, that I was reacting to allergies, but it's gone on for several days now since I went outside, and so I think I'm getting that creeping junk back. Anyway, I want to talk about my career today. Before this, I worked in skilled nursing for many years in one place or another. I graduated with my practical nursing diploma in 1981. I got my first job at an older hospital, a community type, where within a year I took a charge position on a skilled unit. And almost everyone on that unit had terminal cancer, or they were elderly and needed some kind of skilled care. I didn't have any difficulty with death or dying. I think maybe that's because I'm a spiritual person. But I do remember that when I was in training, I was not able to handle the pediatrics and obstetrics. Obstetrics was very rewarding if you had a healthy baby. And most of the time they were. But the really sick ones just scared me. That was somebody else's child, somebody else's baby. Anyway, in October of 1982, I received a call from that hospital telling me not to come into work. At first, what? We'd had some warning. They were shutting the doors and sending the patients to other facilities, those who still needed care or long-term care, or they were dismissing them and closing the doors. I found out later that there had been some mismanagement. But about 50 LPNs were put out of work that day. And I had the least experience of almost all of them. So I was on unemployment for a little while. And many of you may not remember the 80s, but we were in a recession. Anyway, I had worked for a state facility for developmentally disabled before in a direct care, what we call direct care, kind of a nurse aide type and a training type. Anyway, an opening, they had an opening for a nurse in their hospital. They had a hospital at the time. And they had an opening for an LPN. And I got the position. Now at that time, they were just starting to work on people who had problems swallowing or problems choking. Most of them didn't move a lot, or they were in either wheelchair or bed bound or both. Anyway, so they did tracheostomies that were permanent, and they did through the gut into the stomach. They did tube feedings so that they bypassed the esophagus and the choking hazard, and the tracheostomy also helped with that because they still could choke on saliva. Anyway, by the time I'd been there for a while, it grew to about 20 or more clients with trachs and tubes. Well, that's what we called them, trachs and tubes. Anyway, not what we called the people, what we called their malady. Anyway, they opened up a wing that was strictly to care for those clients. And so I took a position there on third shift, which I thought would allow me to be more with my kids because they were getting up there a little older. Anyway, back to this, or I'll go overtime. Anyway, I later worked in a geriatric nursing facility, what most people call a nursing home. And I had no problem there either. I generally had charge over nights or evenings. Now a lot of them require RNs. Back then, I mean, their directors were RNs, but a lot of times LPNs were charged on the shift. Anyway, one thing I always realized about all of those people, no matter where I was at, whether I was at the developmental center or at the nursing home, one thing that did not escape me, and I don't think it escapes very many, is that they're human. They have a soul and a right to life. I know there's a lot of people out there don't think so. They think, oh, they're not contributing to the heck they're not. They're giving jobs. You sit down and you talk with them. You listen to the elderly. They'll teach you stuff. I learned a lot of lessons about history, World War II. We had some patients that had been in World War II. Just decades before. And how that had changed a lot over the years. Also, we got some personal stories that were pretty good. Some of them comical, some of them not. When it came to the developmentally disabled, when you see someone who has been contractured from something like what is it I'm trying to think of? Anyway, some kind of a physical brain motor skills. They didn't have their motor skills very well. Not the fine motor skills. And some of them, they would get contractures in their hands and arms, which we'd work on. But anyway, when someone developed plates with guards and spoons that curved for specifically so that they could use them, you see them graduate from being fed by staff to being trained and learning how to feed themselves. You have found a leap, and you've found a reason to cheer. And that really lifts the heart. I imagine a lot of public school teachers feel similarly when they have a student that's had difficulty learning and they start catching on and they start catching up. These people deserve your respect, and so do I. This is where I'm getting to, but I wanted you to understand that as well. I don't want sympathy. I don't need it, and I don't think they did either. They needed empathy. And mostly what we want, or what they wanted, was respect and a little attention. And I don't mean just walking by and say, hi, how you doing, and not even caring what they say, but actual attention. My husband's been my rock for a long time. He's walked beside me, he's been at my back, and he's led me a lot of times. Now that I am unable to do all this stuff, he cooks, he cleans, he works at a full-time job. I don't see how he does it. We have a granddaughter now who does come over a couple times a month and helps with the deep cleaning. But when it comes right down to it, I'm still contributing. I'm writing and I'm vlogging. Or is it flogging? I'm not sure on this case, but I am trying to live to my optimum potential within my limits. And that's what we tried to do for these other people too. And that's what you should try to see and do for yourself and the others around you. Living to the optimal level within the limits, and if you can work past those limits, you'll find out that little by little, like the person who learned to feed themselves, you start gaining. You start gaining skills or regaining them. Anyway, enough. No more speech. Oh, you're back. Just thought I'd do a little bit of shaping up here. I'm not good at manicures, so I just keep them short. But I'm back just for the ending chat. I'm not going to go all over the board this time. Anyway, I say tat at you because obviously, unless you leave a comment, which I do hope you will do, subscribe, like, comment. And if you so choose. And then I won't feel like I'm chatting at you. I'll feel like I'm chatting with you. Have a good day. We'll talk to you.